10 Stoic Principles so that nothing can affect you. Stoicism. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the endless demands of modern life? In a world where we're constantly juggling work stress, complicated relationships, and fears about an uncertain future, it's easy to feel trapped in a whirlwind of emotions and pressures. But what if I told you there's a way to rise above all of this, to remain unshaken no matter what life throws your way? That's where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism comes in, a philosophy that's as relevant today as it was in ancient times. At Stoic in Your Life, we believe that Stoicism isn't just a set of abstract ideas. It's a powerful tool for navigating the chaos of modern existence. With its practical principles, Stoicism teaches us how to master our emotions, confront our fears, and remain steady in the face of any adversity. By embracing these Stoic teachings, we can cultivate an inner resilience that makes us unbreakable, regardless of the challenges we face. In today's video, we'll uncover the 10 core principles of Stoic philosophy that will empower you to stand firm and unyielding, no matter what comes your way. Join us as we delve into these transformative lessons that can help you build a life of tranquility, purpose, and true freedom. And as always, I have a little challenge for you. Watch this video to the end if you're committed to finding calm amidst the chaos and growing stronger each day. Leave a comment saying, "I accept the challenge," or simply type, "Embrace the journey to inner strength." Ready to take the first step? Let's dive into today's powerful exploration of Stoic wisdom. Number 1. Firm purposes. Have you ever felt that the world is trying to knock you off balance to test your resolve and make you question your very purpose? In today's fast-paced world, especially for men between the ages of 30 and 65, the need for a strong, unwavering sense of purpose has never been more critical. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote underlines the importance of having a firm purpose, a guiding star amidst life's storms. When we have a firm purpose, we are not easily swayed by external circumstances or fleeting emotions. A firm purpose gives us direction and stability, anchoring us in times of chaos and uncertainty. It is this strength of purpose that separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. In the journey of life, particularly during the middle years, many men find themselves at a crossroads, wondering about their life's direction and ultimate meaning. This is where the Stoic principle of firm purposes becomes vital. A firm purpose is not just about setting goals or achieving success. It is about understanding what drives you, what you stand for, and what you are willing to fight for. It's about knowing your values and aligning every action to those values. As Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This means knowing what kind of person you want to be, and then taking deliberate steps every day to become that person. For men in this age range, having a firm purpose is often linked to their roles as fathers, partners, leaders, or even as individuals trying to make a mark on the world. It's about having a clear sense of why you get up every morning and what drives you forward despite the challenges you face. This purpose must be rooted in what truly matters to you, not in superficial pursuits or societal expectations. When your purpose is deeply personal, it becomes a powerful force that fuels your resilience and determination. And when life throws challenges your way, as it inevitably will, your firm purpose will serve as your anchor, preventing you from drifting away from your path. However, in a world that constantly bombards us with distractions and endless options, maintaining a firm purpose can be a challenge in itself. We live in a time where everything is vying for our attention. Social media, endless news cycles, societal pressures, all these can easily pull us away from what truly matters. This is why it's essential to frequently reflect on and reaffirm your purpose. Are you living in accordance with your values? Are you prioritizing what truly matters? If you are not mindful, It is easy to lose sight of your purpose in the noise of everyday life. As Seneca wisely observed, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. This metaphor speaks to the importance of having a clear direction in life. Without it, we are easily tossed about by the winds of fate. Maintaining a firm purpose also means being prepared to make sacrifices and to let go of things that do not align with your values. This might mean walking away from toxic relationships, changing careers, or even redefining success. Remember, your purpose should be a reflection of who you truly are, not who others want you to be. It's about living authentically and courageously, even when it's difficult. By standing firm in your purpose, you gain a sense of control over your life, which brings inner peace and satisfaction. To ensure that your purpose remains firm, it's also crucial to cultivate self-discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, and it is what helps you stay committed to your purpose, even when the going gets tough. In the words of Epictetus, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This statement emphasizes the importance of self-control and discipline in achieving freedom and staying true to your purpose. By mastering your impulses and emotions, you remain in control of your actions and decisions, thus staying aligned with your purpose. Moreover, a firm purpose empowers you to say no to things that do not serve your higher goals. It allows you to focus on what truly matters and to invest your time and energy wisely. In modern life, where there is a constant push to do more and have more, this ability to prioritize is invaluable. It helps you to live a life of intention rather than one of reaction. You become proactive, taking charge of your destiny, rather than being swayed by every passing trend or distraction. This not only builds your character, but also sets a strong example for those around you, your family, colleagues, and community, showing them the value of living with purpose and integrity. Living with a firm purpose is not a one-time decision but a continuous journey. It requires constant reflection, adjustment, and reaffirmation. There will be times when your purpose may feel distant, or you might feel tempted to stray from your path. In these moments, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." These words remind us that the most powerful way to live a purposeful life is not through words, but through actions. A firm purpose acts as your guiding compass, helping you navigate the complexities of modern life with confidence and clarity. It shields you from the storms of doubt and despair, keeping you steadfast in your journey toward fulfillment and peace. It is through this commitment to a firm purpose that you build resilience, strength, and ultimately, the capacity to live a life that is true to yourself and impactful to others. So, take a moment today to reflect on your purpose. Are you living in alignment with it? Are your actions and decisions reflective of your deepest values? If not, what changes can you make to ensure that you are not just drifting through life but are actively steering your ship towards your true north? Embrace the journey of living with a firm purpose, and let it be the foundation upon which you build a life of meaning, courage, and unwavering strength. Number 2, guarding your mind. Guarding your mind is one of the most vital principles in Stoicism, one that resonates profoundly in our modern world, filled with distractions and noise. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." This powerful statement underscores the importance of taking control of your thoughts and reactions. Think about it. How often do you find yourself caught up in negative thoughts or overwhelmed by external events? In today's digital age, where information and opinions bombard us from all directions, it can feel like our minds are constantly under siege. We're pressured by news headlines, social media feeds, the opinions of others, and even our own fears and doubts. It becomes easy to let these external forces dictate our inner peace and stability. However, the true power lies in your ability to guard your mind, to filter out the noise and to focus on what truly matters. Have you ever considered how much of your daily stress is self-created by allowing unnecessary thoughts to occupy your mind? By constantly worrying about things beyond your control or overthinking every minor detail, you drain your mental energy and undermine your peace. The Stoics teach us that we must be vigilant gatekeepers of our minds, consciously choosing which thoughts we allow to enter and take root. This is not to say that we should ignore reality or pretend that problems don't exist. Rather, it is about focusing our mental energy on what we can control: our thoughts, our reactions, and our decisions. This is where the practice of mindfulness becomes essential. Mindfulness is about staying present, observing your thoughts without judgment, and not letting them control you. It's about recognizing when you're spiraling into negativity and consciously choosing to redirect your mind towards more constructive, positive thoughts. Consider this. Have you ever caught yourself ruminating over something someone said or did, replaying it in your mind over and over again? How did that make you feel? Did it serve you in any positive way? Or did it just cause more frustration and anxiety? The Stoic principle of guarding your mind teaches us that we have the power to stop these negative thought patterns. When you guard your mind, you choose not to let external events or others' words dictate your mood or self-worth. You stand as the guardian of your mental well-being, understanding that the mind is the most sacred space you have, and it must be protected with the utmost care and diligence. Take, for instance, a modern story of a businessman named John who, after years of hard work, faced a sudden downturn in his business due to unforeseen circumstances. Instead of letting panic and fear take over, John chose to guard his mind. He reminded himself of what he could control: his response, his strategic thinking, his ability to adapt. He refused to allow the external situation to dictate his internal state. By guarding his mind, he remained calm, focused, and determined, eventually finding a way to pivot his business and succeed despite the odds. This story illustrates the incredible strength that comes from guarding your mind. When you control your thoughts, you control your destiny. So, how can you apply this principle in your own life? Start by being aware of the thoughts you entertain. Are they uplifting or destructive? Do they help you move forward, or do they keep you stuck in the past? It's crucial to realize that thoughts have power, and the more you dwell on them, the stronger they become. Therefore, make a conscious effort to cultivate thoughts that build you up rather than tear you down. As Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, famously advised, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that if you want to maintain a calm, resilient, and positive state of mind, you must be vigilant about the quality of your thoughts. Moreover, guarding your mind involves setting boundaries, both mentally and in your daily life. Just as you wouldn't let just anyone into your home, you shouldn't allow just any thought into your mind. This might mean limiting your exposure to negative influences, whether that's cutting back on news consumption, distancing yourself from toxic people, or simply being more selective about the content you engage with online. Protect your mental space as you would your physical space, ensuring that it remains a sanctuary of peace and positivity. But guarding your mind isn't just about defense. It's also about nourishing it with the right thoughts and perspectives. This means practicing gratitude, focusing on your strengths rather than your weaknesses, and constantly seeking growth. It's about filling your mind with wisdom, knowledge, and insights that empower you rather than diminish you. And in doing so, you cultivate a mindset that is not only resilient, but also deeply rooted in a sense of purpose and inner strength. When you actively choose to focus on thoughts that uplift and inspire you, you reinforce a positive mental framework that becomes your strongest ally in the face of adversity. An open-ended question to ponder: what thoughts are you allowing into your mind right now? And how are they affecting your sense of peace and purpose? Reflect on this question regularly and use it as a tool to keep your mind focused and clear. Remember, the mind is like a garden, and just as a garden needs regular tending to keep out weeds, your mind needs constant vigilance to keep out negativity and self-doubt. When you guard your mind, you are essentially taking ownership of your inner world. ensuring that it remains a place of strength and tranquility. The Stoic principle of guarding your mind is about taking responsibility for your mental state, recognizing that your thoughts are within your control, and choosing to cultivate a mindset that supports your well-being and growth. By being mindful of what you allow into your mind, you protect your peace, build resilience, and remain focused on what truly matters. The lesson here is simple, yet profound. Your mind is your most valuable asset, and guarding it should be your highest priority. So, ask yourself, are you guarding your mind with the same diligence that you would guard your most precious possessions? Are you consciously choosing thoughts that empower you, or are you allowing external events to dictate your inner state? By embracing this Stoic principle, you can ensure that your mind remains a fortress of strength, clarity, and peace, no matter what challenges you may face in life. Number 3. Handling criticism. Let's be honest, no one likes to be criticized. Whether it comes from a boss, a friend, or even a stranger on social media, criticism can sting, leaving us feeling defensive or even defeated. But what if I told you that criticism doesn't have to affect you in a negative way? What if you could turn it into something beneficial, something that actually makes you stronger? This is precisely what Stoicism teaches us: how to handle criticism with grace and wisdom, transforming it into a tool for growth rather than a source of pain. As Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When we understand this, we realize that the power to deal with criticism lies entirely within us. So, how do we begin to handle criticism in a way that is constructive and empowering? First, it starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of viewing criticism as a personal attack, consider it an opportunity for self-improvement. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this feedback? Is there any truth in it that I can use to better myself? By approaching criticism with curiosity rather than defensiveness, you open the door to personal growth. It's important to remember that no one is perfect, and criticism often provides us with insights that we might not see on our own. This doesn't mean that all criticism is valid or should be taken to heart. It's about discerning what's useful and discarding what isn't. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic giant, reminds us, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, and the truth never harmed anyone." Now consider how often we take criticism to heart, letting it affect our mood and self-esteem. But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why do we allow the opinions of others to have such a strong hold over us? The answer often lies in our own insecurities and our desire for approval. We fear judgment because, deep down, we crave acceptance. But Stoicism teaches us to be anchored in our own values and self-worth, rather than the fluctuating opinions of others. When you are confident in who you are and what you stand for, criticism loses its sting. You begin to see it for what it is, a mere opinion, not a fact. And opinions, as we all know, can be flawed or biased. Seneca, a well-known Stoic philosopher, wisely observed, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Often, the pain we feel from criticism is more about our perception than the actual words spoken. Handling criticism also requires emotional resilience, the ability to remain calm and composed even in the face of harsh words. This is not about suppressing your feelings, but rather mastering them. Instead of reacting impulsively to criticism, take a moment to breathe and reflect. What are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? By understanding your emotions, you gain control over them, rather than letting them control you. This is the essence of Stoic practice, mastering your inner world so that the outer world cannot shake you. Imagine someone criticizes you at work, perhaps unfairly. Instead of immediately defending yourself or retaliating, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my peace of mind? Can I use this as a chance to grow? This pause creates space for rational thinking and prevents you from making impulsive decisions that you might regret later. But what about criticism that feels particularly harsh or unjust? The Stoics would encourage you to examine the source. Is the criticism coming from someone whose opinion truly matters to you, or is it from someone who may not fully understand your situation? Often criticism says more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Someone who is quick to criticize may be projecting their own insecurities or frustrations onto you. By understanding this, you can detach emotionally and see the criticism for what it is, a reflection of their inner state, not yours. This perspective helps you maintain your equanimity and not take things too personally. Think about it. How often have you allowed someone's criticism to ruin your day or even your week? How often have you replayed their words in your mind, allowing them to affect your self-worth? What if instead you viewed every criticism as a test of your character, a challenge to strengthen your resolve and clarity? The Stoic approach encourages us to do just that. Instead of seeing criticism as a blow to our ego, we see it as an opportunity to practice humility, self-awareness, and resilience. There is also an important lesson here about giving criticism. Just as we learn to handle criticism, Stoicism also teaches us to be mindful of how we offer feedback to others. Are our words constructive and aimed at helping someone improve, or are they a means to vent our own frustrations or to appear superior? Criticism, when given thoughtfully and constructively, can be a powerful tool for growth. As the saying goes, speak the truth, but let your words be few and simple. The way we choose to communicate feedback can either build someone up or tear them down. Therefore, before criticizing, consider whether your words are kind, necessary, and constructive. Handling criticism effectively comes down to understanding its true nature and deciding how you choose to respond. Will you let it define you, or will you use it as a stepping stone to become stronger and wiser? Remember, you have the power to choose your response, and in that choice lies your freedom. So, the next time someone criticizes you, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me better? By embracing this mindset, you turn every criticism into an opportunity for growth, and nothing can affect you unless you allow it. As we journey through life, let us remember the wise words of Epictetus. No man is free who is not master of himself. Guard your mind, master your emotions, and you will find that criticism has no power over you. Instead, it becomes a tool that sharpens your character and strengthens your resolve, allowing you to navigate the complexities of life with grace and confidence. So how will you choose to handle criticism today? Will you let it build you up, or will you let it tear you down? The choice, my friend, is yours. Number 4. Transforming offense. Have you ever felt the sting of an insult? That sharp pain when someone's words or actions cut deep, making you question yourself, your worth, or even your purpose? In today's world, where misunderstandings and quick judgments are all too common, it's easy to be offended by what others say or do. But what if I told you there's a way to transform this feeling of offense into a source of strength and inner peace? This is where Stoicism comes in, providing us with timeless wisdom on how to handle offenses in a way that empowers us rather than diminishes us. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This powerful statement underscores the Stoic belief that we have the ability to control our responses, even when we can't control external events. When we talk about transforming offense, we're not suggesting that we simply ignore it or pretend it didn't happen. Instead, it's about shifting our perspective and understanding that offense is often a choice we make. Think about it. When someone insults you, their words are just that. Words. They only gain power when we allow them to affect us emotionally. The Stoics teach us to detach ourselves from the immediate emotional response and to see the bigger picture. Marcus Aurelius, another prominent Stoic philosopher, reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This means that while we cannot always control what others say or do, we can control how we interpret and respond to those actions. Now let's dig a bit deeper. Why do we feel offended in the first place? Often it's because something in those words or actions touches a nerve, a sensitive area within us that might already be wounded or insecure. For example, if someone questions your competence at work and you already have doubts about your abilities, their words might hit you harder than they should. But here's the Stoic challenge. Instead of reacting with anger or hurt, pause and ask yourself, why does this bother me? What is it within me that feels threatened? This introspective questioning can transform offense into a valuable tool for self-awareness and growth. Instead of seeing the insult as a personal attack, view it as a mirror reflecting areas where you might need to build confidence or let go of insecurity. Handling offense with a Stoic mindset also involves recognizing the intentions behind the actions. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." This insight highlights that much of our suffering comes not from the act itself, but from how we interpret it. If someone makes a thoughtless comment, it might be less about you and more about their own state of mind. Perhaps they're having a bad day, or they are projecting their frustrations onto you. By seeing things from this perspective, we can cultivate empathy rather than hostility, understanding rather than resentment. This shift not only helps us maintain our inner calm, but also fosters more compassionate relationships with others. Consider this in the context of modern life. With the rise of social media, it's easier than ever to be offended by something someone says online. You see a post that contradicts your beliefs or a comment that feels like a personal jab, and suddenly you're caught in a spiral of negative emotions. But here's where Stoic practice can be incredibly useful. Instead of immediately reacting, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this really worth my peace of mind? Am I giving away my power by letting this affect me? Remember, no one can make you feel offended without your consent. By choosing to remain calm and composed, you reclaim your power and refuse to let external circumstances dictate your internal state. Additionally, transforming offense is not just about personal growth. It's about leadership and setting an example. In your roles as fathers, partners, colleagues, or community members, your ability to handle offense with grace can have a profound impact on those around you. It shows that strength does not come from reacting impulsively or retaliating, but from maintaining dignity and composure in the face of provocation. As a leader, when you transform offense into a moment of teaching or understanding, you not only strengthen your character but also inspire others to rise above their baser instincts. This is a crucial lesson in today's world, where emotional intelligence is increasingly recognized as a key component of effective leadership. And there is another layer to this Stoic principle, turning offense into an opportunity to practice forgiveness and letting go. Offense, when held onto, turns into a grudge, a heavy burden that we carry with us, affecting our mood, our interactions, and even our health. But forgiveness is not about condoning the offense. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight it carries. As Nelson Mandela famously said, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. When we choose to forgive, we choose to release ourselves from the chains of resentment and anger, finding peace and clarity instead. Let's relate this to a practical example. Imagine a heated disagreement with a colleague at work, where harsh words are exchanged, and you leave feeling offended. You could spend the next few days stewing over their words, letting them impact your mood and productivity. Or, following the Stoic way, you could take a step back, analyze why those words affected you, and choose to respond differently. Maybe it's an opportunity to address a misunderstanding, to clear the air, or even to practice humility and patience. By transforming the offense, you not only maintain your peace but also potentially strengthen your relationship with that colleague. So how can you apply this Stoic principle of transforming offense to your own life? Next time you feel that familiar sting, pause and reflect. Ask yourself what you can learn from this moment. Are you giving away your peace too easily? Is there a way to see this situation from a different angle, one that empowers rather than diminishes you? Remember, every offense is a choice. Will you let it define you, or will you use it as a stepping stone towards greater wisdom and strength? As we navigate through life, Let us keep in mind the Stoic wisdom that our true power lies not in controlling what happens to us, but in controlling how we choose to respond. By mastering this art of transforming offense, we not only protect our inner peace, but also grow into the resilient, compassionate individuals we are meant to be. So ask yourself today, how will you choose to transform offense into strength? Will you let it break you, or will you let it make you stronger? The choice, as always, is yours. Thank you for joining us in this video. We appreciate your presence and hope you found these principles as enlightening and empowering as we do. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What Stoic principle resonates most with you, or which one do you find most challenging to apply in your daily life? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your perspective could inspire others on their Stoic journey. And if you're not sure what to comment, here's a suggestion. I found the principle of insert principle particularly impactful because, or I struggle with applying insert principle in my life, especially when. We're looking forward to reading your insights and continuing the conversation together. Number 5. Overcoming fear and shame. Fear and shame, two powerful emotions that can hold us back from reaching our true potential. They are like invisible chains, wrapping around our minds and hearts, preventing us from stepping forward, from speaking up, or from being our authentic selves. But what if we could break free from these chains? What if we could transform fear and shame into courage and confidence? This is exactly what Stoic philosophy teaches us. To understand these emotions, confront them head-on, and ultimately overcome them. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This profound statement reminds us that the obstacles we face, including fear and shame, are not meant to paralyze us, but to be used as stepping stones toward personal growth and resilience. Fear often arises from the unknown or the anticipation of a negative outcome. We fear what might happen, what others might think, or what we might lose. It can be paralyzing, keeping us stuck in our comfort zones, too afraid to take risks or pursue our true passions. But here's the truth. Fear is a natural part of life. It is a signal from our brains, telling us to be cautious or to prepare. However, fear only becomes a problem when we let it control us. The Stoics taught that fear should not be eliminated but understood and managed. Instead of letting fear dictate your actions, ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Is it something within my control, or is it something I have no power over? As Epictetus wisely noted, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By shifting our focus from what we fear to how we respond to that fear, we reclaim our power and begin to navigate our lives with greater clarity and purpose. Shame, on the other hand, is a deeply personal emotion, often tied to our sense of self-worth and identity. It arises when we feel we have fallen short of our own or others' expectations, when we perceive ourselves as inadequate or unworthy. Shame can be debilitating, leading us to withdraw from social situations or avoid challenges where we might fail. But Stoicism offers a different perspective on shame. Rather than seeing it as a reflection of our worth, the Stoics encourage us to view shame as an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. When you feel ashamed, instead of hiding or running away from it, ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What expectations am I holding myself to, and are they fair? Often we find that shame is rooted not in reality, but in unrealistic or unkind standards we set for ourselves. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, reminds us, "He who is brave is free." This quote underscores the idea that freedom comes from bravery, from facing our fears and our shame, not from avoiding them. Let's bring this idea into a modern context. Think about social media, for example, a platform where fear and shame often play out in real time. How many times have you hesitated to post a picture, share an opinion, or even comment on something because you were afraid of how others might react? Or perhaps you felt ashamed because your life, as it appears online, doesn't seem to measure up to others. These feelings are common, but they don't have to define you. By applying Stoic principles, you can start to see that what matters most is not the judgment of others, but your own judgment of yourself. Are you living in alignment with your values? Are you being true to yourself? These are the questions that matter, not the fleeting opinions of strangers on the internet. Now let's consider a practical story to illustrate how we can apply these Stoic principles to overcome fear and shame. Picture a man in his 40s who has always dreamed of starting his own business. He has a great idea, the necessary skills, and even some savings set aside. But he's paralyzed by fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. He also feels shame at the prospect of not succeeding, thinking that failure would confirm his deepest insecurities about himself. But then he stumbles upon the teachings of Stoicism and begins to see things differently. He realizes that fear and shame are just emotions, signals, not stop signs. He begins to ask himself, what's the worst that could happen? And if it did, could I handle it? He reflects on the Stoic principle that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, a powerful reminder that our minds often amplify fears beyond their true size. He decides to take a small step forward. Perhaps it's registering a business name, reaching out to a potential partner, or even just writing down a business plan. With each step, his fear and shame diminish, replaced by a growing sense of courage and confidence. So how can you start overcoming your own fears and shame? Begin by acknowledging them. Recognize when you are feeling fearful or ashamed, and instead of pushing those emotions away, lean into them. Ask yourself what they are telling you. Are they highlighting an area where you need to grow or a belief that you need to challenge? By understanding the roots of your fear and shame, you can begin to dismantle them. Next, practice taking small, deliberate actions in spite of these emotions. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's taking action in the face of fear. And finally, reflect on the Stoic idea that true freedom comes from self-mastery. When you learn to master your emotions, you free yourself from their control. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Overcoming fear and shame is not about becoming fearless or shameless. It's about recognizing these emotions for what they are, temporary states, not permanent states of being. It's about understanding that you have the power to choose your response. Will you let fear and shame hold you back? Or will you use them as catalysts for growth and self-improvement? The choice is yours. As you move forward in your journey, remember that every time you confront fear and shame, you become a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little closer to the person you aspire to be. So next time fear or shame rears its head, ask yourself, how will I respond? Will I let this moment define me, or will I define this moment? This shift in perspective is the key to overcoming these powerful emotions and living a life of courage, authenticity, and resilience. Number 6. Anticipating obstacles. Life is full of challenges, isn't it? It's as if every step we take we're confronted by unexpected obstacles, from minor inconveniences to major setbacks that can derail our plans and shake our confidence. But what if there was a way to prepare for these challenges, not just to survive them, but to face them head-on with calm and composure? This is precisely what Stoicism teaches us through the principle of anticipating obstacles. The Stoics believe that by mentally preparing for difficulties, we can strengthen our resilience and avoid being caught off guard. As Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, said, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." This powerful insight reminds us that expecting obstacles doesn't make us pessimists. Instead, it equips us to deal with life's uncertainties with greater wisdom and strength. So, what does it mean to anticipate obstacles? It means understanding that life is inherently unpredictable and that challenges are a natural part of the human experience. Instead of hoping for a smooth journey, Stoicism encourages us to expect bumps along the road. This mindset doesn't mean we dwell on the negative or constantly worry about what might go wrong. Rather, it's about developing a realistic outlook and preparing ourselves mentally and emotionally for potential difficulties. By doing so, we are less likely to be thrown off balance when things don't go as planned. Consider the words of Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic thinker, who said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This quote is a gentle reminder that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can control how we prepare for and respond to those events. Let's dive a bit deeper. Think about the times when you've faced unexpected setbacks. Maybe you lost a job, went through a breakup, or faced a health scare. How did you respond? Were you thrown into a panic, or did you manage to keep a level head? Stoicism teaches us that when we regularly reflect on possible obstacles, we build a kind of mental and emotional armor. This doesn't mean living in fear or expecting the worst, but rather understanding that challenges are inevitable and preparing ourselves accordingly. Ask yourself, how would I handle it if things didn't go as planned? This simple question can open the door to deeper introspection and preparation. It's about rehearsing in your mind how you might react, finding calm and constructive responses rather than being reactive or overwhelmed by emotion. A practical story might help illustrate this. Imagine a businessman in his mid-50s who is about to close a big deal that could significantly boost his career. He is confident, but instead of assuming everything will go perfectly, he practices the Stoic principle of anticipating obstacles. He considers what might go wrong. Perhaps the client might pull out at the last minute, or there could be unexpected financial hurdles. By thinking through these scenarios, he doesn't fall into despair. Instead, he develops a contingency plan. He decides to save additional resources, builds a stronger rapport with the client to understand their concerns better, and prepares to negotiate under different terms if necessary. So, when one of these anticipated problems does arise, the client wants to renegotiate terms, he is ready. He doesn't panic or feel blindsided. Instead, he remains calm, addresses the situation with a clear mind, and successfully navigates the challenge. This is the power of anticipating obstacles. Now you might be thinking, but doesn't this make life more stressful, always thinking about what could go wrong? On the contrary, the Stoic approach can actually reduce stress. When you've already considered what could happen and prepared yourself for it, you remove much of the fear and uncertainty that come with unexpected events. As Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb people, but their judgments about these things. By anticipating obstacles, you change your judgment from surprise and fear to preparedness and confidence. You know you have the inner strength and wisdom to handle whatever comes your way. In our modern world, this Stoic principle is more relevant than ever. We live in a time of rapid change, where uncertainty can feel overwhelming, whether it's economic shifts, personal relationships, or health concerns. By anticipating obstacles, we create a mental framework that allows us to navigate these uncertainties more effectively. Think about it. If you know that your job could potentially be affected by market changes, instead of worrying, you could start acquiring new skills or saving more money as a buffer. If you understand that relationships can have ups and downs, you're less likely to be shocked when a disagreement arises. Instead, you're prepared to communicate openly and work through it. This doesn't mean we live a life devoid of joy or spontaneity. On the contrary, by anticipating obstacles, we free ourselves to enjoy life more fully. We're not blindsided by every setback because we've already prepared our minds for the possibility. This mental preparedness doesn't only help us manage difficulties, it also enhances our ability to savor the good moments, knowing that we are capable of handling the bad ones. So, how can you start practicing this principle today? Begin by taking a moment to reflect on the challenges you might face in different areas of your life. What potential obstacles could arise in your career, your personal relationships, your health, or your finances? Instead of feeling anxious about these possibilities, think about how you would handle them. What steps could you take now to prepare yourself? What mindset would help you remain calm and focused? By answering these questions, you're not only preparing yourself for the worst, but also strengthening your ability to remain resilient and composed under pressure. At the end of the day, Stoicism teaches us that the true test of character isn't how we perform when things are going smoothly, but how we respond when things get tough. Anticipating obstacles is about embracing life's uncertainties with a calm and steady heart, knowing that whatever comes your way, you are ready. It's about developing a mindset of resilience and strength, one that can weather any storm. So next time you face a challenge, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" consider asking, "How can I use this challenge to grow stronger?" This shift in perspective is where true Stoic wisdom lies, transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth and showing us that no matter what happens, we have the power to remain unshaken and undeterred. And that, my friends, is the ultimate goal. To live a life where nothing can affect you because you have anticipated the obstacles and are ready to face them with courage, wisdom, and grace. Number 7. Inner strength and response. How often have you found yourself in situations where your patience is tested, where the actions of others provoke you to anger, frustration, or even despair? In today's fast-paced world, where pressures seem to multiply every day, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and react impulsively to the challenges we face. But what if I told you that there is a way to build an unshakable inner strength, a way to respond to life's provocations with calm and clarity rather than anger or frustration? This is one of the core principles of Stoicism, cultivating inner strength and mastering our responses. The Stoics believed that while we cannot control what happens to us, we have complete control over how we respond to those events. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This powerful insight invites us to shift our focus from external circumstances to our internal state, reminding us that our true power lies not in changing the world around us, but in mastering ourselves. Inner strength, according to Stoicism, begins with understanding that our emotions are within our control. Yes, emotions are natural reactions to what happens around us, but the Stoics teach that we have the capacity to choose our responses. This doesn't mean suppressing or denying our feelings. Rather, it means observing them without being overwhelmed. When someone cuts you off in traffic or your boss criticizes your work, the immediate surge of anger or defensiveness is a natural human reaction. But the Stoic practice encourages us to pause, take a deep breath, and ask ourselves, is this worth my peace of mind? Is my reaction helping me or harming me? By creating this space between stimulus and response, we can choose a reaction that aligns with our values and long-term well-being, rather than being driven by fleeting emotions. Consider a famous story from the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, and one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers. Despite being the most powerful man in the world, Marcus constantly faced betrayal, war, and personal loss. Yet he remained composed and thoughtful in his responses, guided by a deep inner strength that came from his Stoic training. In his private writings, meditations, he often reminded himself to be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it. This metaphor beautifully illustrates the Stoic ideal of inner strength, remaining steady and unshaken regardless of external chaos. Marcus knew that he couldn't control the actions of others or the unfolding of events, but he could control his reactions, maintain his integrity, and stay true to his principles. Now let's bring this concept into modern life. Imagine facing a difficult situation at work. Perhaps a colleague undermines you in a meeting, or you receive unfair criticism from your supervisor. The natural response might be to react with anger, to defend yourself vigorously, or to harbor resentment. But what if instead you chose to respond with calm and poise? What if you took a moment to reflect, asking yourself, what would a wise and strong person do in this situation? This shift in perspective allows you to act from a place of strength rather than weakness. You could choose to address the issue calmly, perhaps by seeking a constructive conversation to clear up any misunderstandings, or by accepting the criticism and using it as an opportunity for self-improvement. By responding thoughtfully rather than impulsively, you not only maintain your inner peace but also command respect and foster more positive relationships. One of the key aspects of building inner strength is recognizing the difference between what is within our control and what is not. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and it's a crucial element of their philosophy. So often, we waste energy worrying about things that are beyond our control, other people's opinions, the outcomes of certain events, or even the weather. By focusing only on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and anxiety. This is not to say that we should be indifferent to the world around us, but rather that we should engage with it from a place of strength, not desperation or fear. As Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "He who fears death will never do anything worth of a man who is alive." This quote encourages us to face life boldly, understanding that our fears often prevent us from living fully and authentically. Building inner strength also involves self-discipline, the ability to maintain control over your impulses and desires. In a world full of temptations and distractions, developing this form of strength is more important than ever. Whether it's resisting the urge to lash out in anger, choosing to get up early to exercise, or sticking to your commitments even when it's inconvenient, each act of discipline strengthens your inner resolve. Over time, these small acts of self-control accumulate, building a solid foundation of strength that helps you stay grounded even when life becomes turbulent. And when you do face challenges, you'll find that you're not easily swayed by external events, because you've cultivated a strong inner core. Reflect for a moment on your own life. Are there areas where you feel you lack control over your responses? Perhaps it's in your relationships, your work environment, or even in your own self-talk. How might your life change if you began to approach these situations with a Stoic mindset, focusing on your inner strength and choosing your responses carefully? Instead of reacting out of habit or emotion, you could start responding with intention and clarity. This doesn't mean you won't feel emotions like frustration or disappointment, but you will learn not to be ruled by them. You'll find a sense of freedom in knowing that you are not at the mercy of your circumstances, but rather the master of your fate. Ultimately, the Stoic principle of inner strength and response is about reclaiming your power, the power to decide how you will live your life, how you will face challenges, and how you will treat others. It's about recognizing that no matter what happens to you, you have the ability to choose your response. This is not just a philosophical idea, but a practical tool that can transform your daily life, helping you to remain calm, composed, and confident in the face of any adversity. So the next time you find yourself in a situation that tests your patience or challenges your peace of mind, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Ask yourself, how will I choose to respond? Will I let this moment control me, or will I rise above it with grace and dignity? The choice, my friends, is yours, and with it comes the opportunity to build an inner strength that no external force can ever shake. Number 8. Restraining actions. Have you ever been in a situation where you acted on impulse only to regret it later? Perhaps you sent a harsh email in the heat of the moment, made a hasty decision, or said something you wish you could take back. We've all been there, haven't we? In moments like these, it's easy to feel powerless, as though our emotions are in control, driving us to act in ways that don't reflect our true character or intentions. This is why the Stoic principle of restraining actions is so valuable. It teaches us to pause, to reflect, and to choose our actions wisely, even when emotions run high. As Epictetus said, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. This idea emphasizes the importance of thinking before acting, of ensuring that our actions align with our values and the person we want to be. Restraint in action is not about inaction or hesitation. It's about being deliberate and thoughtful, It's recognizing that while we cannot always control the emotions we feel, we can control how we choose to express them. When faced with a situation that provokes anger, fear, or frustration, the Stoic approach encourages us to pause and consider our options. What if, instead of reacting impulsively, you took a moment to breathe, to calm your mind, and to ask yourself, is this action necessary? Is it in line with my principles? Will it bring about a positive outcome? By doing so, you take control of the situation rather than letting the situation control you. Think of it like steering a ship through rough waters. You wouldn't make sudden, erratic moves, but instead, you would guide it carefully, maintaining steady control. Let's explore this idea with a story that many of us might relate to in modern life. Consider a manager who receives a harsh email from a client late at night, criticizing the work of his team. The manager's first instinct is to fire back a defensive response to protect his team and his reputation, but instead of hitting send, he decides to sleep on it. In the morning, with a clearer mind, he rereads the email and realizes there might be some valid points amidst the harshness. He drafts a new reply, one that acknowledges the client's concerns and suggests a constructive way forward. By restraining his initial impulse to react defensively, he not only avoids escalating the conflict, but also preserves a valuable relationship and opens the door to improvement. This simple act of restraint transforms a potentially negative situation into an opportunity for growth and collaboration. But why is restraining our actions so challenging? It often comes down to our desire for immediate gratification, or our instinctive response to defend ourselves. When we feel threatened or disrespected, our natural reaction is to strike back. However, the Stoics teach us that true strength comes not from overpowering others, but from mastering ourselves. As Seneca famously said, "He who is brave is free." This bravery isn't about physical courage, but the courage to hold back, to exercise patience and self-control, and to choose a measured response. This is a powerful form of freedom. Freedom from being ruled by our impulses, freedom from being swayed by the emotions of the moment, and freedom to act with wisdom and integrity. Let's bring this concept back to a question that might help you reflect on your own life. How often do you find yourself acting on impulse only to wish you had taken a moment to think things through? Are there areas in your life, perhaps in your relationships, your work, or even in your self-care, where you could benefit from a bit more restraint? Consider the times you've reacted out of frustration or impatience. What might have changed if you had taken a step back, if you had chosen to restrain your action and wait until you were calmer or had more information? This isn't about being passive or indecisive. It's about choosing the right moment and the right way to act. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values and long-term goals, rather than the fleeting emotions of the moment. The practice of restraining actions also involves understanding the power of words. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. They have the power to heal or to harm. Think about how often conflicts are escalated by harsh words spoken in haste. By learning to hold your tongue, to pause before speaking, you give yourself the chance to consider the impact of your words. Will they build up or tear down? Will they bring clarity or confusion? By restraining your words, you demonstrate strength, wisdom, and respect for yourself and others. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or avoiding difficult conversations, but rather choosing the right words at the right time. One of the greatest benefits of practicing restraint is the peace of mind it brings. When you learn to control your actions and responses, you reduce the likelihood of regret and guilt. You create a sense of inner calm and confidence, knowing that you are in control of your life, not at the mercy of external events or other people's actions. You become like the rock that Marcus Aurelius described, steady amidst the crashing waves. By choosing to act with restraint, you are building a solid foundation for your character, one that can withstand the tests and trials of life without crumbling. Ultimately, the Stoic principle of restraining actions is about reclaiming your power, the power to decide how you will respond to the world around you, how you will interact with others, and how you will live your life. It's about understanding that while you cannot always control what happens to you, You can always control how you choose to act. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom and a key to living a fulfilled and resilient life. So, the next time you find yourself on the brink of acting impulsively, ask yourself, is this action true to who I want to be? Will it bring about the outcome I desire? By practicing this simple yet profound exercise, you begin to cultivate a life where your actions are deliberate, your mind is clear, and your spirit is strong. Remember, as Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. So, take the reins of your actions and responses, and find the freedom that comes from true self-mastery. If you've made it this far, you're truly on the path to becoming unshakable. Drop a comment saying, "I am unbreakable," to show your commitment to mastering these Stoic principles. Stay tuned. Your journey to inner strength and peace has just begun. Number 9. The power of acceptance. Have you ever felt frustrated because things didn't go your way, or life didn't unfold as you had planned? We all have moments where we wish things were different, where we find ourselves fighting against reality, trying to force the world to bend to our desires. But what if I told you that the true key to peace and resilience lies not in changing the world around you, but in changing how you perceive it? This is the essence of the Stoic principle of acceptance. Acceptance is not about passive resignation or giving up on your dreams. Instead, it's about recognizing the limits of your control and finding peace within those limits. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." This profound wisdom encourages us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, our responses, while letting go of what we cannot, such as the actions of others, the past, or even some aspects of the future. The power of acceptance lies in understanding that our suffering often comes not from the events themselves, but from our resistance to them. We suffer more from our imagined fears about the future or our regrets about the past than from the reality of the present moment. The Stoics teach us that by accepting things as they are, rather than as we wish them to be, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain and find a path to inner tranquility. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote serves as a reminder that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and respond to these events. Acceptance is the practice of embracing this wisdom and using it to guide our daily lives. Let's consider a real-life scenario that illustrates the power of acceptance. Imagine you've worked hard for a promotion at work, one that you truly believe you deserve. You've put in the hours, delivered results, and even received praise from your colleagues. But when the time comes, the promotion goes to someone else. Your initial reaction might be one of anger, frustration, or even self-doubt. You might feel tempted to dwell on what could have been or to become resentful towards your employer or the person who got the promotion. But what if, instead of resisting this reality, you chose to accept it? What if you took a step back and asked yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this situation to grow stronger and wiser? Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what happened, but it does mean you choose to face it head-on without letting it dictate your emotional state. By accepting the outcome, you open yourself up to new possibilities. You might even find that this setback propels you to explore new opportunities or to refine your skills in ways you hadn't considered before. Acceptance is also about embracing change, understanding that life is in a constant state of flux, and that clinging to a fixed idea of how things should be only leads to frustration and suffering. Think about the seasons. Just as winter gives way to spring, so too do the phases of our lives change. Resisting this natural ebb and flow is like trying to stop the tides. Instead, Stoicism teaches us to flow with the current, to adapt to each new circumstance with grace and flexibility. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, reminds us that the whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. His words challenge us to stop wasting energy on things beyond our control and instead focus on making the most of the present moment, which is the only time we truly have. In today's modern world, where we are constantly bombarded with images of what our lives should look like, whether through social media, advertising, or societal expectations, acceptance becomes even more critical. We are often conditioned to believe that happiness lies in achieving a certain status, acquiring material goods, or living up to an idealized image. But Stoicism teaches us that true contentment comes from within, from accepting ourselves and our circumstances as they are. Ask yourself, what areas of my life am I resisting? Where am I trying to control the uncontrollable? It could be your relationship with a family member, your financial situation, or even your health. By identifying these areas, you can begin to practice acceptance, releasing the tight grip of control and instead finding peace in the present moment. One powerful example of acceptance in action can be seen in the story of Admiral James Stockdale, a U.S. Navy officer who was held as a prisoner of war in Vietnam for over 7 years. During his captivity, Stockdale endured unimaginable hardships, including torture and solitary confinement. Yet, he credited his survival to the Stoic principles he practiced, particularly the art of acceptance. He didn't deny the harsh reality of his situation. Instead, he accepted it fully and focused on what he could control: his thoughts, his dignity, and his will to endure. Stockdale's story teaches us that even in the direst circumstances, acceptance can be a source of profound strength and resilience. But what does acceptance look like in everyday life? It's in the small moments when you choose to let go of a grudge, to forgive someone who has wronged you, or to accept a situation that didn't turn out as you hoped. It's in recognizing that the traffic jam is out of your control, and instead of getting frustrated, you use that time to listen to a podcast or reflect on your day. It's in accepting the imperfections of yourself and others, understanding that we are all works in progress. By practicing acceptance, you cultivate a more compassionate and patient mindset, one that allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease and grace. Ultimately, the power of acceptance lies in its ability to liberate us from the prison of our expectations and attachments. When we accept what is, we stop fighting against the flow of life and start moving with it. We become more adaptable, more resilient, and more at peace with ourselves and the world around us. As you continue on your Stoic journey, remember the wisdom of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Challenge yourself to practice acceptance in your daily life. Ask yourself, how can I better accept the things I cannot change? How can I use acceptance as a tool to build my inner peace and strength? By embracing this principle, you not only fortify your mind against the trials of life, but also discover a deeper, more lasting contentment that no external circumstance can ever take away. Number 10. Living according to nature. Have you ever felt out of sync with your own life, like you're constantly pushing against the tide, trying to mold yourself to expectations that just don't feel right? You're not alone. In our modern world, filled with constant noise, distraction, and pressure to conform, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters, to feel disconnected from who you truly are. This is where the Stoic principle of living according to nature becomes a powerful guide. But what does it mean to live according to nature? For the Stoics, this idea wasn't about returning to a simpler, primitive life, but rather understanding our place in the universe and aligning our actions with our true nature, our rational, social, and moral selves. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, reminds us in his Meditations, nature gave us the ability to reason and to live according to reason. This means using our ability to think, to make choices that align with our highest values, and to live a life of virtue and purpose. Living according to nature begins with understanding what it means to be human. Unlike other creatures, humans possess the unique capacity for reason, which allows us to reflect on our actions, to make choices based on values rather than impulses, and to understand our interconnectedness with others. The Stoics believed that by recognizing our rational nature, we are better equipped to make decisions that are in harmony with our true selves and the world around us. So, how does this principle apply to our daily lives today? Consider the constant barrage of external pressures, whether it's career demands, societal expectations, or the relentless pursuit of material success. The modern world often encourages us to measure our worth by these external standards, pushing us to live lives that may not be authentic to who we are. But by living according to nature, we are reminded to turn inward, to reflect on what truly matters, and to make choices that align with our core values and principles. Take, for example, a story of a man in his 50s who has spent decades climbing the corporate ladder, sacrificing his time, his health, and even his family relationships in pursuit of success. He reaches a point where he feels burnt out, disconnected from himself, and wonders if all his efforts were worth it. It's at this moment he discovers Stoicism and the idea of living according to nature. He begins to reflect on what truly brings him joy and fulfillment. Is it the title on his business card, or is it the quality time he spends with his family, the passion he feels when he's engaged in meaningful work, or the peace he finds in quiet moments of reflection? By choosing to live according to his true nature, he decides to make changes, perhaps stepping down from a high-pressure role to pursue work that aligns with his values, or simply making more time for the things that bring him genuine happiness. This shift doesn't mean abandoning ambition or hard work. It means aligning those efforts with a deeper sense of purpose, one that reflects his authentic self. But living according to nature is not just about individual choices. It's also about recognizing our interconnectedness with the world around us. The Stoics believed that we are all part of a greater whole, that our actions have an impact on others, and that living in harmony with nature means considering how our choices affect those around us. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "We are all limbs of one body, and we should not cut ourselves off from the common interest." This perspective encourages us to act with kindness, compassion, and a sense of responsibility toward others. In practical terms, this might mean choosing to mentor a younger colleague, volunteering in your community, or simply being more present and supportive in your relationships. By doing so, you are not only living in accordance with nature, but also contributing to the greater good, which in turn brings a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose. Think about how this principle might apply to your own life. Are there areas where you feel out of alignment with your true self, where you are living more according to others' expectations than your own? Perhaps it's in your career, your relationships, or even your daily habits. Living according to nature invites you to pause and reflect, to ask yourself, am I living in a way that feels true to me? Am I making choices that reflect my values and contribute positively to the world around me? This doesn't mean making drastic changes overnight, but rather small, intentional adjustments that bring you closer to your authentic self. It could be as simple as spending more time in nature, practicing mindfulness, or finding moments of quiet in your day to reflect on what truly matters. It's about recognizing that happiness and fulfillment come not from external achievements, but from living a life that is true to your nature. Moreover, this Stoic principle can be a powerful antidote to the stress and anxiety that often accompany our fast-paced lives. When you live according to nature, you are less likely to be swayed by the opinions of others, less likely to be caught up in the endless pursuit of more, and more likely to find peace in the simplicity of being true to yourself. As Epictetus advised, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." This mindset shift encourages acceptance and contentment, not by changing our circumstances, but by changing our perspective and aligning it with our true nature. In our modern context, where technology, social media, and external pressures can easily pull us away from our true selves, living according to nature is more relevant than ever. It's about coming back to who we are at our core, embracing our rational, social, and moral nature, and making choices that reflect our highest selves. So, how can you begin to live according to nature today? Start by asking yourself some simple yet profound questions. What are my core values? What brings me genuine joy and fulfillment? How can I align my daily actions with these values? By reflecting on these questions and making conscious choices, you start to live more authentically, more purposefully, and more in harmony with your true nature. At its heart, the Stoic principle of living according to nature is about finding balance between ambition and contentment, between self-interest and community, between our desires and our duties. It's about recognizing that while we may strive for many things in life, true happiness comes from living in alignment with who we are, not who we think we should be or who others want us to be. As you continue your journey through Stoicism, remember the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. The universe is changing. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Embrace change, live true to your nature, and you will find a sense of peace and purpose that no external achievement can provide. So ask yourself today, am I living according to my true nature, or am I being swayed by forces outside of me? What can I do to align my life more closely with my values? In answering these questions, you take the first steps toward a more fulfilled, more meaningful life, one that nothing can affect because it is rooted in the deepest truths of who you are. Are you ready to truly embrace a life guided by the timeless principles of Stoicism? As you walk this path with courage and determination, you'll uncover a strength within you that remains steady, no matter what life throws your way. Remember, life is like a vast canvas, and you are the artist with the power to create your own masterpiece. Paint your life with the vibrant colors of resilience, standing firm against the storms that surround you, while always radiating light and wisdom. The power to live the life you truly deserve lies in your hands, one that is unshakable, filled with purpose, and guided by the virtues of Stoic philosophy. If this video resonated with you and provided insight into how to live more stoically, please support us by hitting the like button. Your feedback is incredibly valuable, so leave a comment below and share your thoughts on which Stoic principle you found most impactful. Also, share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread the profound and practical wisdom of Stoicism far and wide. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Stoic in Your Life, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos about Stoic living, personal growth, and mastering life's challenges. Thank you for being a part of this journey towards a more resilient and meaningful life. Stay strong, stay wise, and we'll see you in the next video.